For many years, one undefeated champion reigns supreme over the galaxy's large ship market, Falcon Delace's Anaconda. Its excellent performance and flexibility gave it the edge it needed to beat its competitors. But at the end of 3301, two new vessels emerged to challenge the Anaconda's title. Now, we take a look at where the large ship scene sits today and how these challengers have shaken things up. Sat on the throne, it has ruled since 2856. Delace's Anaconda is an ancient and tested design. The combination of firepower, versatility and customizability have allowed the Anaconda to fill every role imaginable for those rich enough to afford it. Interstellar battleship, heavy trader or long-range explorer, very few career paths are incompatible with this behemoth. With all of this going for it, what could possibly challenge such a stalwart ship? When competitors finally faced Falcon's king, they emerged in the form of military vessels. From core dynamics, produced for the Federal Navy and adapted for civilian use, came the Federal Corvette, a purebred warship designed to enforce the Federation's will. The Corvette's role is that of a gun platform, boasting a significant number of powerful armament placements. The ship's brutal aesthetic strikes fear into the heart of those who stand up to the galaxy's oldest superpower wherever it's seen, supported by its two Class 4 hardpoints, the only ship to date with such capability. From Gutamaya, the Imperial Cutter is available to members of the Imperial Navy Auxiliary, also adapted from a military design. The cutter represents all that is imperial: elegance, aesthetics and speed. Behind the vessel's beautifully curved exterior lies a force to be reckoned with, a truly colossal internal module capacity coupled with more than capable firepower. Cutters may be found anywhere the Empire desires to demonstrate its extensive power. Naturally, each of these ships are only available to the most affluent amongst the Pilots' Federation. As such, budget will not be considered when comparing the beast's capabilities. In this showcase of Titans, performance is all that counts. Coming in with a cargo capacity of 388 tons while shielded, the Anaconda remains a respectable trading vessel to this day. Protecting your merchandise is a shield strength of 752 megajoules, assuming no shield boosters are used. This is a notably smaller cargo hold than boasted by its competitors. However, the Anaconda retains one edge: jump range. For very long-range purposes, the Anaconda's jump range exceeds 20 light-years when laden, not even accounting for engineering. If long-distance capabilities are on your checklist, this is not a record that will be beaten anytime soon. Without modification or use of prismatics, this is also the largest shield capacity for a standard trading build. In comparison, the Corvette can haul a shipment of 552 tons while shielded. This increased cargo capacity comes at a cost, however. Not only are the Corvette's shields slightly weaker than an Anaconda's at 683 megajoules, but the Federal warship can only haul those tons around 13 light-years at a time. This is a lower distance than many popular trading routes, and any extra jumps will increase turnaround time. Even when engineered, the Corvette remains unable to jump as far as an unmodified Anaconda. Lastly, though definitely not least, is the Imperial Cutter. Despite offering the weakest stock protection at 656 megajoules without boosters or modification, the Cutter offers a jaw-dropping 728 tons of space for your chosen goods. While hauling almost double the volume of the Anaconda, the Cutter can maintain a laden jump range of over 16 light-years before engineering. For these reasons, and the fact that its shield is still nothing to be sniffed at, the Cutter is the trader of choice for many an Imperial pilot. While some may prefer the high range of the Anaconda for their trading purposes, it is difficult to dispute the Cutter's supremacy for space trucking. The Corvette struggles with its poor jump capabilities for its mediocre cargo capacity and gets left in the dust by its Imperial counterpart. The Cutter even rivals the capabilities of the Type 9, a dedicated heavy trader. Engineering also allows for greatly increased shield strength and jump ranges, further enhancing the Cutter's hauling abilities. Turning our gaze to the Milky Way's most distant heavens, the Anaconda is a common choice for the wealthy explorer. Unengineered, the ship can exceed 40 light-years when configured as efficiently as possible. and throwing engineering into the mix, ranges of over 60 light-years are easily achievable. Since modern frameshift drives, or FSDs, came to the common market, Anaconda has very understandably dominated the galactic mapping scene. In this area, the Anaconda's more militaristic counterparts lag far behind. The Corvette posts a miserable entry of barely 20 light-years, with the cutter faring little better, struggling to break 25 light-years. Engineering helps little, boosting the Corvette up to a dismal 32 light-years and the cutter to around 40. Even though the cutter has the ability to fit a Class 8 fuel scoop, it isn't sufficient to break the Anaconda's distance advantage. It is obvious that both ships are not designed with exploratory purposes in mind. This makes the choice of exploration vessel clear. The Anaconda is still on top. Combat is an area not quite so cut and dried as trading or exploration. It is well known that all three ships boast excellent combat capabilities, but the debate rages, particularly along the Federal-Imperial divide. Which is the best? To truly test these behemoths, a classic field test was in order. Being large ships, designed for long-term combat endurance, each one was taken to a resource extraction site till they either ran out of ammunition or were routed. For a fair comparison, all three ships were unengineered for the test. Up first was the Anaconda. While lacking the defensive capabilities that come with the larger internal slots possessed by the other ships, the Old King retains one advantage: firepower. On paper, the Anaconda wields the largest potential damage per second available on the market. This is thanks to its wide and versatile set of 8 hardpoints and its Class 8 power distributor. For the test, it was equipped with a standard bounty hunting build consisting of lasers and multi-cannons. Throughout the test, the Anaconda's overwhelming firepower consistently shone through. Small and medium targets lost shields very quickly, and the hulls were swiftly torn apart by the combination of the huge and the large multi-cannons. As with most large ships, the Anaconda is not the most agile choice out there, but this is easily made up for by using gimbaled weaponry. The Anaconda's clearest weak point was its defensive capabilities. With fewer internal compartments for shield cell banks, the shield did eventually collapse before the ship ran out of ammunition. However, the bulkheads withstood enough incoming fire to allow the target to be destroyed before retreating from the extraction site. Despite being routed, the performance was impressive, demonstrating the massive offensive power of the ship. Up next was the Corvette. Core Dynamics entry has one fewer hardpoint than the Anaconda, but is the only ship on the market capable of mounting 2 Class 4 weapons. Despite having a lower maximum theoretical DPS, this hardpoint configuration could allow large bursts of damage to be delivered at once. The ship was equipped with 2 huge cannons for attacking armour and 5 pulse lasers for stripping shields. The most immediately noticeable thing about the Corvette is the unique kinematics it possesses. While not a fast ship, clocking in at the similar mid to high 200s range as the Anaconda, it is able to roll faster than any of its competitors. This allows the ship to lay down fire more consistently, reducing the time in combat significantly. So strong are its rotational capabilities that gimbaled weapons aren't required for the more precise pilots out there, easily being able to accommodate the added requirement of aiming fixed mount guns. Coupling excellently with the ship's flexible offensive abilities, the Corvette can also take one hell of a beating. Due to its larger internals, the Corvette can run with a higher total shield capacity than the Anaconda, even with one fewer shield cell bank. Not only that, but it does not impinge on the size of the equipped fighter hangar when doing so, allowing the use of 2 extra fighter rebuilds in extended combat. By the end of the test, the Corvette still had unused shield cells remaining when the ship ran out of ammo for its twin cannons. An excellent performance, as to be expected from the supplier of the Federal Navy's armaments. Finishing up the day's tests was the Imperial Cutter. In combat, the cutter faces immediate difficulties, stemming from its Class 7 power distributor. While its set of 7 hardpoints allow a wide array of weapon combinations, they frequently find themselves choked of power. To accommodate this, the majority of the weapons mounted were multi-cannons, as they have a much higher damage per unit energy than lasers do. Only 2 pulse lasers were mounted on the ship's large hardpoints. The first thing one recognises in the cutter is its very poor manoeuvrability. It handles like a starport. This can be very difficult to manage, particularly against more agile opponents. While the ship can achieve incredible straight-line speeds in the mid-300s when boosting, the slow pitch rate means engagements will be very drawn out. Throwing into this slow mix, the Class 7 distributor don't expect fights to be over quickly. The cutter's redeeming quality comes in the form of protection. A standard shield configuration will have almost 70% more shield integrity than an Anaconda, allowing the shield to absorb an unreal amount of ordnance without breaking a sweat. The test, rather unsurprisingly, took longer than the previous two due to the high time to kill that comes with the cutter's offensive stats, but by the time ammo was depleted, the shield was sat comfortably full with shield cells to spare. Deciding on a true victor of this test is difficult. Each ship excels in different areas. The Anaconda is more of a glass cannon, with weaker defences but achieving the fastest kills. The Corvette represents a balance, good firepower backed up by adequately strong shielding. At the defensive end of the spectrum, the cutter can tank for extended periods, but will take a while to secure kills, drawing the fight out a significant amount of time. The best ship depends entirely on the flight style of the pilot. Aggressive flying benefits the Anaconda more, while endurance fits the cutter. Despite this, the most balanced option usually represents the best choice for the average bounty hunter, so in this case, the Corvette comes out as a very debatable winner. So, what's the final verdict? Unsurprisingly, we have arrived at somewhat of an impasse. Of each of the three tests, a different ship has come out on top. The Anaconda remains the top explorer, the cutter is the best at trucking, and the Corvette proves itself on the battlefield. Naturally, a million other tests could be performed to try and decide on a ship that technically wins out on paper. But for an individual, this is a pointless exercise. The Pilots Federation is made up of pilots of uncountable skill sets, interests, career paths, and personal preferences. As expected, there is no best large ship out there. The best advice for someone who's in the market for a ship this price range is to do your research. What is the ship going to be used for? Will its role change a lot during use? None of the ships are bad choices, they're all excellent vessels for what they do, and it's easy to see why they dominate the large ship scene. If you're rich and insane enough, get all three. The Anaconda most certainly no longer reigns supreme, but it is far from ousted from its position at the top. As the ships continue through development, new models are released over the next decades and centuries, it's almost certain that the big three will continue jostling for the throne. New competitors may join the fray, but it is certain that we are now in a golden age of advanced large ship technology.